folks, Mike here, the Security Silverback. And in this session, I want to follow up on something I mentioned earlier, namely passwordless authentication. I touched on it briefly in the session talking about multi-factor authentication, and in this session I want to go a little deeper into what passwordless authentication is, how it works, and why it can be a lot more secure than conventional password-based authentication. I'll also touch on a couple of challenges that don't get talked about. But first, hit those subscribe and notify buttons so you don't miss a session, and don't forget to give a like when you get to the end. Now, on to passwordless authentication. At its heart, the concept is simple. It's right there in the name. It's authentication without using passwords. Simple, right? The thing is, there are multiple implementations of passwordless authentication, some of which overlap each other, and some are just shifting to other parts of the identification triangle we talked about before. Namely, something you know, something you have, and something you are. Obviously, passwords fall squarely into the something you know part. Passwordless methods usually go for either something you are, like biometrics, or something you have, like a security token. Often it's both, or rather you're using a physical device that requires you to unlock it somehow. For example, a phone-based system will require to unlock your phone to use it. And that means either a PIN or pattern, something you know, or using a biometric like a fingerprint reader or facial recognition, something you are. Well, either method is going to be easier to deal with than trying to remember a good password with its 14 or more characters, upper and lowercase letters, numbers, and meta characters. It's still multiple steps. It also usually requires additional hardware, whether it's your phone or a token of some kind. As I said earlier, there's multiple ways to implement passwordless authentication, and I'm going to hit a few of them now. First up is what I called rolling codes in the other session. These are either going to be a token, whether physical or application-based, that provides a new code at a regular interval. To log in, you tell the system who you are, and then either enter the code or the code plus a PIN, depending, and it checks to see whether you've given it the correct information. If so, you're golden and it lets you log in. The rolling code is based on a seed number that's tied to the serial number of your token or your app. Both devices have the seed number and both, hopefully, remain in time sync with each other. It's a way to fix things if your token or server clock are drifting, so time sync isn't actually a major issue. The seed number is a major issue though, and that's what assures each token or application instance is unique. And it has been an issue at least once when seed numbers were compromised in a security breach. I talked about that last time. Some systems will use the code alone, which is where they become a passwordless authentication system, or often the rolling code is one factor in a multi-factor authentication scheme. To be honest, in most implementations, this is a multi-factor system. You have the device that produces the code, whether your token or mobile device, and you're either entering a PIN or unlocking a device, which means a biometric or knowledge factor. So MFA by another name, but without actual passwords. Usually. Another method is a form of one-time password, or one-time challenge response, which can be counted as a passwordless authentication method if it's used alone, or is often one factor in an MFA scheme. There are several variations of this, and the one I'm going to mention now is used by applications like SteamGuard and Netflix. Yeah, I said Netflix. They have a system where you log into a smart TV using a QR code displayed on the TV. Scan it with your phone, and the link will take you to the Netflix app on your phone. Enter the code from the TV screen into your phone app, and you're in. SteamGuard is a similar system, with you using your logged-in phone app and a QR code to log in and authorize a new device. In the background, the new device is asking the service for authentication. The service reaches out to the logged-in mobile device, or rather tells the mobile device where to go to confirm, and when the confirmation comes, it authenticates. In either case, you're not using a password to log in. You're using your mobile device that itself already logged into the application, which you unlocked using whatever you used to lock your device. Was there a password involved when you logged in your phone app, or Steam, or Netflix, or any other sources that use the simple system? Probably. But the point is, your mobile device is serving as the key to log in, and doing it without a password. Now, these aren't the only examples of this kind of one-time challenge response system, but they are something a lot of people are going to be familiar with. And to be honest, I think the whole setup is kind of cool. Next up is biometrics, which is really common for logging into mobile devices, but less so with heavier computer devices like laptops, and even less so with desktops. Though, to be fair, my MacBook isn't the first or only computer I've had that used biometrics to unlock it. Of course, there is the caveat that it requires an actual password login periodically, and you won't always let me log in with just a fingerprint. The last one in this session is the family of security key schemes. These include the CAC, or Common Access Card, used by a number of US government agencies, and the more recent passkey system. The details differ between implementations, though they're mostly certificate or public key encryption based. Your card or token or mobile device has either a certificate or a public-private key pair. Probably both. The system you're trying to log into has its own certificate or key pair, and these certificates or cryptographic keys are what's handling the authentication. I'm not going to go into the math involved with either certificates or PKI, but there's a reason the Department of Defense uses these things. Now, you may have noticed that these methods require some kind of tokens or mobile device to log in. And often, you're going to need to know a PIN or use biometrics to unlock your device. So this is going to be more resistant than a conventional password to phishing or compromise. You're still doing multi-factor authentication. And a lot of these schemes let you fail back to a conventional password if your authentication device isn't available, which is a godsend if you're prone to misplacing your phone or leaving your token at home, but kind of defeats the purpose of being more secure and theoretically easier to use than passwords. One of the things I haven't touched on is behavior-based authentication, which I've usually encountered as a "is that still you at the keyboard?" feature, rather than an authentication scheme on its own. It's a cool technology, and I'll do at least a short follow-up on it soon. But this is already running past short attention span theater length, so I'm going to end here. If you find these useful, please give a like and let me know in the comments what you think. Until next time, stay safe.